So we're going to make some Welsh Rarebit, and so what we're going to be using is basically the base of a bechamel sauce. We're going to be using some softened butter, we're going to be using flour, and we're going to be adding some milk to it for our one. You can, with Welsh Rarebit, add some cider or some beer to it as well if you want to change up the flavours a little, but for today we're just going to make one that has milk. So we're going to start off, we're going to take our softened butter, we're going to add that into our pan, and then we're going to have this on a moderate heat. We don't want to have it too high. We definitely don't want to burn our butter. We're just looking to melt it so that way when we add our flour in, it starts to create a roux. So this should come together as a nice sandy kind of a coloured roux. But now we're going to be very careful not to overheat this roux. We want to keep this roux as a white roux, not as a blonde roux, as though we're making a velouté, one of our other mother sauces. So we're just going to cook the flour out literally just for a few minutes on a moderate heat so that we can start getting rid of some of that floury kind of flavour that's in there, but we're going to make sure that we're cooking it without any colour to it. Always moderate that temperature. Now we have our roux. It's been cooked out nicely, but without any colour, where we're moderating that temperature. I also have some milk right here. This has been warmed through, and now as you're warming it, you can actually add in a piece of onion in there with a clove and a bay leaf. We call it a studded onion. That can actually help to infuse more flavours through into the milk that we're then going to add in with our roux. And so now this is a critical moment, because all of the flour is now blooming, all of the starch that's in the flour is blooming out as we're actually starting to heat that through in our roux. We need to add this milk slowly, part at a time, to our roux. And we're going to stir that in. This is critical that we don't all add it all at the same time, otherwise it will become very lumpy. So we're going to allow that to take in that amount of milk before we add the next batch. So when stirring this now, it almost has the texture of Play-Doh. So we're now going to add another amount of milk to this, about another quarter of that milk that we have here. We're going to gently stir this in, and again, the roux is now taking that milk on as well, without causing any lumps. But we want it to fully take in that milk before we carry on with the next batch. You see now it's more like mashed potatoes. Now we can add some more milk to the roux. And again, stirring in, carefully ensuring that it all mixes in without going lumpy at all. If you need to moderate your heat at this time, then moderate it, make sure it's not boiling. You don't want to boil this yet, but you want to keep it fairly warm so that it's helping that starch to bloom and to continue to thicken the extra milk as you're continuing to add it in. As you can see, it's resembling more like a sauce now, but still too thick. And now we're at the stage where we can finish off. We can add the remainder of our milk, stir this all in, and then bring it up to a simmer. Now we have a wonderful, rich, creamy sauce. Now we can add some salt and some pepper. Okay, so now we have our base sauce is finished, and we've allowed that flour to cook out so that we no longer have that floury kind of flavour to it, just the richness of this wonderful white sauce. We're now going to start enriching it with lots of other flavours in there. So we're going to start off, we're going to add some cheese to it, and we're going to add an egg yolk to it. That's going to give it some richness. Now we're going to finish off our Welsh Rarebit. This wonderful, rich, creamy sauce that we have here that's barely even called a sauce because it's relatively thick now. And so we're just going to add some Worcestershire sauce, add some cayenne pepper, give it a little spice, and we're going to add some mustard, also spice it up a little bit. I'm just going to stir that in well. We'll taste this again for salt and pepper, just to make sure that we get the right flavor profile that we want. And this is all ready to go. We can use this immediately on some toast